The Zelda series has never shied away from mature themes in its games, and it often explores the depth of these themes by contrasting their lighter and darker aspects. The majesty of Ocarina of Time hides the subtle losses of growing up. The pure cartoon bliss of Wind Waker shrouds the bitter pill that the past must be relinquished. The thriving nature in Breath of the Wild conceals a world that could not be saved. In many ways, these lighter aspects are all masks that hide the darker themes of each game. We're all familiar with this game's themes: melancholy, regret, annihilation wrapped in the surreal, absurd, and bizarre. No game in the Zelda series is more upfront with its darkness than Majora's Mask, but it's using that darkness to mask something deeper, more triumphant. I'd like to show you what I mean, but first, there's a stage to set. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are the full arc of one long story, but they are inversions of each other. Ocarina's high fantasy, classical heroic grandeur masks a tragedy. Majora's dreamlike melancholy drabness masks a triumph. The tragedy of Ocarina of Time is that, while Link is physically returned to his childhood, all the weight and emotional baggage he carried through his brief adulthood remains a part of him. Hyrule is saved, but at the cost of his innocence. He sacrificed his right to grow up to give the people of Hyrule a future. Can he return to a life with some semblance of the world before he lost this part of himself? In this regard, Link at the beginning of Majora's Mask is neither a child nor a hero. He is a soldier returning from war, searching for meaning. That's why he looks for Navi, who is a representation of what tethered him to his childhood. Ocarina starts off in innocence, but ends with Link's identity cleaved in two. Majora's Mask starts with a further cleaving, turning Link into a Deku Scrub. The remainder of the game tasks Link with integrating his own mask, reconciling the adult he is with the child he appears to be, and finding his true self. Throughout the game, Link is confronted by this child-adult duality. He must earn the respect of the kids in the Bombers gang. He meets Kafei, a man like himself, trapped in a boy's body. He meets a man lost in a boyish fantasy. He helps Cremia and is rewarded with a mask that acknowledges his adulthood. He embodies the son of a grieving father and acts as a surrogate father to a grieving child and mother. He meets the children on the moon, but we'll get to them later. And most notably, he is confronted by Skull Kid, who is not only an enemy, but a warning. What could you become if in losing your friend, you turn to dark powers? If in your sadness you relinquish yourself to something that can manipulate you? Would you abandon all those you've befriended? This parallel is a constant reminder of the terrible fate that could befall Link, and so he forges a different path, a path that leads out of darkness. Earlier I referenced Link as a soldier returning from war. In reality, many veterans when they return home suffer from the inability to adjust to everyday life. It's well documented that an antidote to this culture shock is to find a support group, immerse yourself in a community, volunteer your time and talents, and set goals. There are also a host of well-documented benefits, both mental and physical, that result from creating a daily routine. So what? Well, as the wayward soldier trying to rehabilitate himself, that's exactly what Link does. He gets the Bomber's notebook, and his schedule is set around the lives of the townsfolk in Termina. As he interacts with more people, his community grows, and he offers them his time and talents to stop a thief, or relive a bar owner's memory, or reunite lovers. He learns songs about healing, about swearing oaths to return order. He gives those who have died a renewed opportunity to accomplish through him what they could not on their own. I see the sentiment that the message of Majora's Mask is, you can't save everyone. I don't agree with this, because we see that every time Link reverts back to that first day, though he may lose all his arrows and bombs and rupees, though the world may be reset, what he keeps are the tangible tokens that are direct reminders of the relationships he's cultivated and the people he has saved. The masks never leave him. I think a more accurate description is, you can't save everyone in a day, or healing takes time. Majora's Mask teaches you that no matter how hard you try, no matter whether your efforts are undone, you don't stop pushing forward, and you don't stop helping others. Even in the glaring face of imminent annihilation, Link keeps going. King Akana recognizes what Link truly is and what he carries. That is a belief in his friends, and embracing that belief by forgiving failure. He heralds Link as "you who brings light into darkness." This boy, who was lost at game's beginning, is returning light to this world of Termina. But as he exorcises the curses of all 4 dungeons and the days reset, only then can Link face his ultimate challenge. Link's arrival in the mouth of the moon is one of the most surreal, expectation-defying moments in a Zelda game, but it also makes perfect sense. This is the archetypical belly of the whale, where Link must face what he fears most. This idyllic field, the children playing, this is his final confrontation, the literal form of his childhood. He must reconcile what he's become in Termina with what he left behind in Hyrule. But this also comes at a cost. When he interacts with the children, they'll play with him, but in exchange they demand his masks, the tokens of the community he's built. Confronting his past is only possible because he has amassed a currency of relationships that make him stronger. Once he passes the trial, finds the 4 hiding children, another strange event happens. They ask him a series of cryptic, provoking questions. I split these questions into 2 categories: questions about happiness or identity. The juxtaposition of how Link from Ocarina of Time and from Majora's Mask would answer these questions is striking. Ocarina of Time Link had to choose between childhood happiness and doing the right thing. In doing so, he abandoned his friendships, and once returned to his time, lost himself. This version of Link, though, finds happiness in helping others and sets things right by thwarting Majora. In the end, he's thought of as a friend, and I think most importantly, because he's gone through these trials to find himself, though he still may look a child, he has put the pieces of himself back together. Then there is the last child, Majora himself, who tries to intimidate Link. But fitting for this game, he also does a bizarre thing. If Link's collected all the masks, he's rewarded with the Fierce Deity mask. A.G. Aonuma has suggested that this mask contains the memories of all the people of Termina. Only when Link has helped everyone is he able to become his most powerful. Note again the comparison with Skull Kid. Both Majora's Mask and the Fierce Deity mask are said to have dark power. But while Majora uses Skull Kid as a puppet, Link is in full control of himself while wearing the Fierce Deity mask. That's because he's reconciled with his childhood. He's accepted the dark parts of himself, and he is now able to fully bring light to that darkness, to bring dawn to a new day. Reflecting on the game's mature and melancholy tone, Aonuma felt that players of Ocarina of Time had grown up somewhat and could be motivated by different emotions like sadness and regret. I love Majora's Mask because it doesn't shy away from the realities of real life. The anxiety of deadlines, the paralysis of having to prioritize a choice, the pain of loss, of regret, of losing yourself. But to say the themes of Majora's Mask are only darkness is just half of the puzzle. It's not just about death or sadness or anger. That's the mask it wears. More importantly, it's about confronting and overcoming these things. It's about healing and forgiveness, about friendship and gratitude. That's why it's a great game, because it reinforces and personalizes the idea that even in darkness, a true hero will shine. But it doesn't just stand on its own. It is an answer to Ocarina's tragedy. The triumph is in Link finding meaning by healing others. He heals frightened townspeople. He heals misunderstandings and fallen heroes and families. He heals kings and generals and their connection to their history. He heals curses, friendships, relationships. He heals fear, loss, sadness. But most of all, through this, he heals himself. I take it all back. Everything's a nightmare.